Hey there, and welcome back to Off the Rails, an educational monster train series where we explore content mods for the game. So we're back on the Pathogens kick. I'll tell you right now that I'm very excited for the last run we did of this, which was revealing to me finally for the first time ever one of the rare cards, something I wanted to experience. There are apparently, obviously, a couple others. We only saw the one, which was in Vibrio Infernum, which is a very strong card that popped off quite significantly. I think I would describe it, generally speaking, as pretty comparable to an Eel Gorgon. There are some differences that I think matter. I think that it's easier to sustain buffs on the Vibrio Infernum, of course, whereas, Eel Gorgon is removing them. And just generally speaking, it's quite powerful. Its ability to convert Shard into multi-strike is odd, but strong. And it's obviously synergy with Ice Core, which we had within the clan itself. So pretty powerful, all things considered. The rest of the run was straightforward, I think, except for the fact that ultimately we ended up relying more on spamming Vibrio Infernum than anything else. Now, the main thing I want to do differently in this run, and I think we're probably winding down on Pathogens, but something that was suggested to me that I really do want to try is I want to play Pathogens secondary. This is actually not something that I've played yet. So my plan is essentially to random my main clan and then play it with a Pathogen secondary and see how it performs in this context. I'm imagining I'm going to do a couple of these, one for default, one for secondary, or exile rather, and then decide based on that kind of how this pans out. You can obviously tell that something like Flee is going to be powerful with Soul Guard, but there's really not a lot of synergy otherwise across any other clan. I'm not really sure if anything else is going to stand out to me there, right? It's hard to say. Maybe, there might be something, but unclear. Whereas I think Virion potentially stands as a fairly decent card in most clans. Remember, it is a consume starter. This is actually something I think I've discussed this a lot in this clan discussion and all the videos I've done. I think this is actually horrifically broken at a fundamental level. I think that this completely breaks the way the game is intended to play because your starters are going away. Now, obviously, if you're playing a line that's dependent on summoning units, this is actually a downside. So this is a downside for your culture clan combo, right? Where you're trying to build up culture because they go away. You can't reuse them. Whereas if you could, that would be fantastic. The upside is if I'm leaning into another clan entirely, right? So if I have a secondary, another champion that wants to play something completely different, and that champion doesn't care about pathogens, suddenly I have broken the game by essentially making all of these cards free removals when played. That's ridiculously powerful. And that's what I mean by fundamentally broken. I don't actually think that there's anything this clan can do because it's been designed with this in mind. The downside, of course, is that I think it just kind of breaks the way the game is expecting starter cards to work. I've mentioned this before as well, but we as in alpha testers for Monster Train, experimented with this on Echo Break in the DLC's early alpha stages. Obviously, we all know that Echo Right favors etch synergies, so one of the first things we tested was, okay, well, what if this card just etches, right? What if the automatic etch synergy you get from your starter is relevant? And this is actually when we discovered that it breaks so many things about the game that they backed it out. And that's why Echo Break ultimately in release is very similar to like Torch, right? It's essentially the same card, just somewhat scaling. And I mean, I think it's pretty inarguably overall better. There's obviously circumstances where it only does 1 damage as opposed to 2, which perhaps gives Torch a little bit of an edge sometimes, but regardless, that's why Echo Break is so similar, because, well, the original version that had the etch synergy was simply way too powerful. So yeah, that's something we all can learn from a little bit. Anyway, custom clans, the one thing you kind of define them around is you can break the rules, right? That's the point of the thing, to experiment with and explore them. It's fun to try, and I think we see similar results, right? We can easily tell, yes, this breaks some element of the game, etc., etc. So, all right, let's set this back up the way we wanted to. I want secondary Virion and a random starter. Cool. Not much else to add, so as always, do like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's see what nonsense we can end up to today. It would be nice if we ran into a couple of the other rare cards. I sure would like to try those, but we'll see. Alright, hope you're all doing well today. I'm doing just peachy. Well, I say that. Oh, you ended up on Prince. Interesting. I say that. I actually feel kind of cruddy in general. I feel a little bit under the weather, but it is what it is, I suppose. So, I'm ready to play some Monster Train. I was considering if I was even going to record this one today, but it ended up working out in our favor, so here we are. Alright. So here's what we have. We have default Hellhorned, so we got Prince. Prince is not a bad champion, but is also not a good champion either. In fact, I rank him very lowly. But at a minimum, he can become the vessel by which your run wins via Brawler 3 and a bunch of multi-strike plus hitting hard. Obviously, Pathogens really doesn't play well into that unless we end up with something utilizing the buff card, the common. And we'll have to find it, of course. But yeah. I was considering for a moment how useful Life Elixir might be in this context with something like an Imp. The problem is the Endless goes away, so I don't think it's going to be very good, right? Yeah, I don't think it's going to be very good. We'll find out, I suppose. Anyway, today we're facing Plating Sealed Daedalus, Rage Fell, Sap Seraph, we have Molting Imp, Life Elixir, and March of Shields. Life Elixir, I constantly think this card kind of struggles to find value. There's only a few circumstances where I think it's kind of busted, and that's basically what, Primordium? So, otherwise, it's like, why do I want this? It actually might also be good on Sentient, is something I was considering initially, right? A Spike Sentient who gets a one-off Endless is actually quite potent, so that's another example where I think it could be decent. Basically, you're looking for something that sticks around a long time or has such high value on respawn that you pretty much can't get rid of it. Any unit is going to prefer the Endless upgrade. Now, you might not find it, but you can't build a run around playing a unit once and then twice, and then that's it, right? All your Imp lines rely on playing the Imp multiple times over a combat, so I don't think it's very functional as an Imp supporter. At a minimum, though, like 50% of my deck consumes right now, so we can create something pretty slim. Right, at this point, it's March of Shields and Torches are the only things that remain after a playthrough, and the Deadweights. So, you know, that's pretty crazy. Assuming you can play everything anyway. Alright, temples today are on 2, 5, 6. That's it? That's it, 3 temples. Well, at least it's not a train wreck episode. That would be a struggle fiesta if it were. So 3 temples is enough, I guess. They're decently spread. At least we get some in the mid-game, so there's that. Yeah, that'll have to do. Alright, dupe on 8 is on the magic side. Nothing fancy. Magic and trinket on 7. Money in the middle. The money, though, on the node is actually on the magic side, so it's kind of a weak trinket shot, but it's not terrible if we have cash. There are obviously a lot of things we could see that would be very strong for Hellhorned. Removal dupe on 6 competes with Steel and Horde. It's fine. No magic. So nothing crazy there. Steel and magic on 5. And then we have just a magic on 4, which means we do get the double steals early, which is nice. Nothing remarkable about any of these. We do have a Pathogens banner on 4, which is useful, so keep that in mind. Double steals early, both with Hellhorned banners, so this might be a good example of a run that plays very much into Hellhorned and then doesn't really utilize Pathogens. I could see it. Yeah, I could see that. Otherwise, nothing too exciting. Okay, the Horde today. Light's Gift is almost certainly the pick here. We love to see it. Firestone housing is pretty decent, but it's a little early to take something like that, especially over a Light's Gift. Now, this obviously leans us towards something like Brawler as opposed to Wrathful, because nothing is going to attack Wrathful. Eventually, we could pivot off of that into something else, though. So I think Light's Gift is still correct here, though, even if we end up forced into Wrathful. We do, actually, end up on Wrathful, so fair enough. I know what you're thinking. Why don't I pick Reaper? It's because Reaper is abysmal, and taking that is basically tantamount to guaranteeing a loss. I'm going to grab the Horde here. I think we can handle it. My Korhizel network. Culture abilities trigger when a unit is played on any floor. Okay, that's a lot to unpack. This essentially breaks an element of the game where things must be played on the floor that you want them to interact with, which is very powerful. This means, man, this is actually disgusting, right? Because then you can just spam useless garbage on a completely different floor and... You know, I think I would normally take the Mark of an Exile here for health on Wrathful Prince, but I actually really want to see if I can lean into the My Korhizel network thing. This is pretty busted in principle, right? It breaks the concept of culture triggers, and it removes their biggest downside, which is that you have to spam the floor. Interesting. We could just die here. Mark of Invasion is actually free on this one. We'll take a little bit of damage, but it's not too bad. Right, this is no big deal. We just go Prince, and then Train Steward. We're going to take 3 and accept that. I'm going to Molting Imp middle just to clear that out. We'll Virion downstairs. It gets killed. The thing that changes is that we might... I think we actually do get through this, right? It's actually a decent life elixir here. See, because it actually... This Contagion kills the Collector, which is fun. Virion downstairs is pretty high value. I'll play the other one too. There's no reason not to, right? Yeah, that should kill front guy. Yes. And then Molting Imp here. Yes, kills the back and it bounces forward. Great. And then we double Train Steward. We will take 2, but that doesn't cause me too much heartburn. I do want to Molting Imp into Torch here. 20 damage. I guess I didn't need to. I did actually. Contagion 3 is not enough, so this should be fine. We take another 2, but it's acceptable. Alright, I guess we'll take March of Shields upstairs. Do I self-ping twice? 25? No, I don't think I do, simply because 24 is 4 rounds here, so I'll double torch the enemy instead then. I think it's close. Alright, Virion gives us a tanker here, although he has trample, so it doesn't really matter, but it adds a little bit of damage. Alright, we're fine either way. Okay, good. 7 damage for a banner is pretty worth. It's always Fledgling Imp, right? I think it always has to be Fledgling Imp here. Vent is pretty tasty, though, to be honest with you. But I think we always take something that does damage scaling. Okay, now, Booster Shot did get updated, I recall this. So it now gives 6 health, and if I ignore it, I get +1 card next turn. So that's interesting. 6 health actually makes this comparable-ish. It's okay. Health scaling like this for 1 Ember is okay. I think what you really want to look at is an efficient card in Monster Train is 1 for 10, right? So think about this, like Echo Infusion. The reason it's 0 for 10, it's actually a hyper efficient card, is because of the extract cost. But oftentimes, but in practice, an extract, a single Echo, is worth less than an Ember. So that's why it's hyper efficient. But Shiny Shoe considered it that way, so that's why it is the way it is. Consider that, like, March of Shields is a great example of this. This is standard efficiency. It provides 10 armor, and it provides a little mobility, which sometimes is useful. So that's like a minor perk, and then the baseline. This also is true for something like Fortify, right? It's 0 for 5, which is similar. You've also got Branding, right, which is 2 for 20. And then you can see that, like, Alloy of the Ancients, obviously the reason I always pick it is because it's hyper efficient, it's rare, consumes but 1 for 25. So you can see that, like, in general, you're looking for 1 Ember to be worth 10 health. This is not worth 10. 1 for 6 is pretty low. I think this would be fine as is at 0 cost. The one thing you have to ask yourself is the reserve ability ever justifying the difference here? And I don't know if it does, because if I'm picking this card, it's because I want to play it. It's not because I want to permafrost it and turn it into a what? A +1 card draw? The thing is that it's essentially, you have to hold on to this for 2 turns in order to actually have it provide any value. Is that worth the permafrost? Maybe, I don't know. It's like a weird engraft almost. I could see a world where if I had like Capricious Reflection and rolled permafrost on this, I snap click it. But having to invest almost, what, 120 gold into this is expensive. Maybe if I was bloody rich and just happened to roll into it. I don't know. It's not bad. I think I'm going to take Feverish Response instead. I can give it a 10 in piercing and blow some stuff up, and that seems fine. I could always also use this to eventually kill my own fledgling imps up top with Light's Gift. I think it's definitely that here. I'm going to go to the one that has a unit banner here, and I don't think it's particularly close. We have an Endless, which is fantastic. We have a Steelworker, which I think is also fantastic. Although I actually think it is Railbeater here, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah, I think so. Certainly an option anyway. Something a little more damagey is probably worth it. The Railbeater also plays nice if we roll into a Horned Warrior for my next banner. So, Steelworker's nice. I think I would take that if I were on Brawler and or didn't have Light's Gift. Now, there's obviously other things we need to consider. Divinity, for instance, is going to be a problem. How do I keep my Railbeater alive? I still think it's Railbeater here. Okay. Great. I'm going to take the Endless on the Fledgling Imp because, of course, I am. Okay, we get Spell Chain. I don't think there's any Spell Chain target here I really want. This Purge, we're not terribly strong right now. We have the option of going Molting Imp into Fledgling Imp for some AoE. That's something I'll consider more if we have Ashes of the Fallen later, but for now it's not that impressive. Do I want to purge a torch here? Not really. I think I will be relying a bit on torches to self-ping my own imp out for the time being. And everything else self-consumes, so I kind of feel like we just chill here. We have a decent set of pickups, and we move on. Sure, okay, sounds good to me. Okay, unit draft, I will take it. There's a lot of stuff we could see that would be interesting. It'd be nice to play a little bit in a culture somehow, so we'll hope for that. Yeah, we'll just ping out one of these back fellas here. I'm going to burn a torch on, not a torch, but a train steward on this one. Molting Imp doing excellent work. I'm going to toss him the life elixir. We're going to put some armor upstairs. These things are good. It's not even close. We do get Fledgling Imp. Destroy it. We'll Molting Imp middle. That's a great turn to me. Cool. Good example of Fledgling Imp into Feverish Response here, which is pretty huge. And then we just Molting Imp downstairs. It's a pretty good turn, if I'm being honest with you. Cool. Fledgling Imp, stab it. Virion. Now, I can't replicate... Yeah, okay, it's immune to Endless. I gave it the Replicate, though, which is entertaining, at least. I don't think it's going to do what I want. No, it doesn't. We easy win this, though. Cool. Easy. Great, in fact. Awesome. Railbeater doing decent work. I am going to take this event here, for sure. Welder Helper, not bad. Makes him a little difficult to kill the Fledgling Imp, but it is good survivability, I suppose. It's very hard to kill the Fledgling Imp if we go that route. I think the vent will provide more value. It also improves our temples, which I really value here. Hurried exit. Ascend a unit and apply SAP 2. Swarm tactics. Hurried exit is a Divinity solution, right? It is expensive, but it's a Divinity solution. I'm going to take it. For sure, for sure. Spliced monstrosity on... Whoa. Oh, yeah, this one changed. Okay. Culture, gain shard 1 on team turn. What is team turn? Triggers when this unit's team starts fighting. Starts fighting. So, this is a weird one that exists in the base game, but doesn't get used anywhere. I don't know if the language actually is what it says it is, right? When the team's turn starts fighting means this should trigger in Relentless, right? Because you go back and forth, right? You have enemy turn, enemy starts fighting, we start fighting. Enemy starts fighting, we start fighting. So if that actually behaves correctly, then this can scale into Relentless and becomes nuts now. This is actually much better than it used to be, because you had the problem of how in the world do I actually get Virions killed in front of this? Of course, the other problem is I have Light's Gift, which makes playing at top floor kind of garbage, right? Unfortunately. So, it's interesting. I'm curious how this works. It's better if only I didn't have Light's Gift, right? We would be cooking here, but that's just going to have to be okay. Asymptomatic carrier, he's too big. It's the problem, actually. I can't fit him in front. I'm not going to take him because I need a 2-2-1 situation. He's just too big. I don't understand why he's 3 space when you think about it, right? He's got decent stats, but I don't know. He's just very big, right? He's just big. Now, he's actually not a bad unit to just completely throw away downstairs. I think... Like, think about this from the perspective of Titan Sentry, right? Culture, apply Contagion 10 to each enemy unit. Now, this would not work normally, right? Because normally I'd have to have him on the floor where the unit gets spawned, which is a real annoyance. I'd be spawning stuff downstairs. But consider my Corhizzle network. I can play him bottom floor, play my imp upstairs, and apply Contagion 10 to everything. He actually might be able to serve a pretty decent... Yeah, he actually might be quite good. Alright, we'll take the carrier here. That's an interesting synergy with the network. Divine Artifact. I mean, it's hard for me to skip here, but I do like $20. Money in the middle. Am I actually at risk of leaking here? I think we're not that at risk. I'm basically debating advanced prototype versus, you know, just taking 25 gold. I think we just take the cash here. I feel okay. We're going to go left because I could see a multi-strike and that would be huge. Obviously, self-infusing the imp later would be probably better, but still. It's a large stone. I'm never taking that. We see a multi-strike, we pop off. Incredible work. Railbeater is cooking. I might get him a plus 25. Yeah, bad infusion situation here. Yeah, for sure. Is there ever a world I consider the carrier's infusion into Railbeater? No, right? Not a chance? No, not a chance. None of these big guys either. Absolutely not. Okay, that's good. So I'm looking at like a plus 25 into Railbeater here. Almost certainly. We are going to go this route for the upgrades because I could overstack and that would be better than possibly spreading these out. So this is good. I don't need to worry. You can get away with something like quick multi on him. But with Light's Gift, I don't care, so I might as well take the extra health. Now, it could still cause me problems if I roll into, say, Horned Warrior up here, and I've already burned the health upgrade, but we already saw multi-strike, so I'm not as afraid. We could also hold out for the potential of a second multi-strike. I am thinking we go to this 5 upgrade here, because we could see Endless for the carrier, which seems... I want to try carrier as with the my Corhizzle network as a possible Titan Sentry synergy with the imp getting replayed upstairs. And then the entirety of my deck would be prioritizing how do I kill my imps every turn, which, because everything consumes, is essentially guaranteed, right? Only things that don't consume are Vent and March of Shields and Hurried Exit. Everything else kills a unit or consumes. So I do think I want this money, don't I? Yeah, I do think I do. We're low on shards anyway. So that's your question, right? Do I plus 25 here and bank on no Horned Warrior and no multi-strike? I think we actually hold out because I'm going to the ring 5 here. Yeah, I think we hold out and just hope for the best. Spike Driver Colony, rail spikes, auto rail spikes. I don't feel like this does anything for me here that I particularly care about. No immediate upgrades either. I'm just going to skip these, right? It's an endless infusion onto the carrier if we wanted to go that route, but I would rather... Yeah, I'm just going to leave. Okay. It's about kind of what I expected. We move on here. Fairly low shard count, which is nice. I think that's going to help out a bit with our survivability. Now, we should be able to... Yeah, see, watch this. We go carrier down here, and it's like, hooray! And then we play Prince upstairs, and he just blows up this floor, which is pretty awesome, right? I can play March of Shields, and then I can just, what, put a carrier, a Virion middle, and it Contagions again? This is going to be pretty good, I think. Yes. I think this is pretty decent. Yeah, yeah, that's actually going to be cool. I'm going to go ahead and put a life elixir down on Prince in case he implodes. I'm going to just sacrifice a train steward here. Honestly, decent. Downright decent here. Okay. 15, 20, 20. Is there anything I can do here? I definitely feel like we just play a train steward, which is a ton of contagion. I think I'm going to put the Virion mid-floor, bottom floor, possibly. I think bottom floor, yeah. Okay, because this guy, the bomb is going to go off, but I might draw my imp here or something. Or an imp, at least. Right, so here's the thing. I want the imp to bomb here, and it will do it. So that saves health, and we're good. And then I can just, what, Virion here. And what, Virion again? And bottom floor actually kills a dude. Wow, this is actually pretty good, huh? Actually, a lot of culture triggers here. And then I can just toss life elixir at this guy, and he's fine. And we play Fledgling Imp upstairs, and then Shoot Thy Imp. Crazy how that actually doesn't kill him? What? Oh, it's because the Imp was attacking. Weird. Well, we're going to take some damage for that. I think it's because the Imp was attacking, which meant he gets the slay here, and 2020 plus the Contagion got the kill there. Interesting. Well, I think we only take, what, one hit because of the Contagion. It's not that bad, yeah. And we what? We play Carrier, I guess? Play it again. And then we can put Fledgling Imp up, which is cool. And then I simply blow up my thing, and that's fine. Sure, seems good to me. Guy has 62 Contagion, which is funny. I'm going to go ahead and we go March of Shields, Fledgling Imp, stab it. He gets a slay, which is nice. And then we can go Fledgling Imp up here, and we're chilling. Alright, good. Cool. Alright, thank you, Railbeater. Very neat. I do think we want to self-infuse the Imp based on this. Hyper Lasix Spike. This changed. Trigger culture on all units 2x times. Interesting. Summon a copy of a unit from your draw pile to the back of this room. Any attack or health buffs applied to the copied unit will apply to the original card until it is played. This What does that mean? So I have to leave a unit in my thing. So this never really helps me because of imps here. Okay, so Hyper Lasik Spike, however, could potentially chunk out heavies, I guess. It's not bad, I suppose. I can click this, and I don't hate it. Spike of the Hellhorned is also pretty rough, but, you know, fine, I suppose. I'll take the Hyper Lasik Spike because it consumes and it's a low cost, and I think it is valuable, but... Ah, Apex Imp. That's certainly something we could pivot into. It's a pretty decent infusion for the guy anyway. We'll take it. I don't know if we're going to be pivoting here, but if I could pivot, I suppose. We'll take card draw here. Ember is valuable, but I don't think I need it right now. We might see a solution to it some other way. Is it Magic Shop? Look for a Pathogens banner or something like that. The removals are nice. We do have a bunch of expensive guys that kind of can just go away. I could see a holdover, some -1s. Sure, I think we go left. I think it is enough value for us to consider. Brawler pivot would be good. All right, we see the Brawler pivot, which makes me feel good about keeping Prince on the floor. I'll take the Horde. Yeah, Forever Flame is a big win here. Now suddenly all my units are very functionally playable. Yeah, look at this. Everything is now free, and suddenly we're cooking. Pathogens banner has additional attack equal to the amount of contagion on this floor. You know this is actually decent, right? With the carrier plays, I can get... Is that actually a good infusion? Is that ever right? Is that ever better than just Apex Imp's infusion, which is 20 damage straight up? It's probably pretty good, but it's reliant on being able to connect the carrier element through. Is this good here? I think this is actually pretty good here. Is this better? The nice thing about Apex Imp is 10 armor as well, so it's some extra survivability. It's also bursty. 10 rage is 20 damage right away. Carrier may not be online immediately. Carrier could also die is another concern, right? It also represents, what, 10, like 5 by 10 maybe in an ideal turn on Divinity. So it's like 50 damage is not nothing, right? That's a lot, actually. 50 damage is pretty good, assuming of course that units aren't dying to AoE, which they will, I'm pretty sure. So I think this could be pretty good, but I also think it requires jumping through hoops, and there's also the opportunity cost. I already have Apex Imp, right? So I think getting rid of that is better. So I think I'm not going to pivot on this, but it's an interesting idea, I think. Now, everything did just suddenly get cheaper, which I think is extremely cool. I don't hate a lot of these cards suddenly. So I think the way I'm going to approach this is I think we just -1/-1 hurried exit. And our goal is essentially to spam this, pretty much. Right? I think so. Yeah. I'm good with that. -1/-1 hurried exit, and then try to use this to... And then, like, literally dupe this. I have, what, 2 dupes that I'm going to line up with? One might actually... I think this one on Ring 6 has to be the Imp for the self-infuse. Which unfortunately means Carrier never gets self-infused. But that'll have to be fine, I suppose. Just bad node generation, right? Nothing I can really do about it here. So... True. True. I'm actually going to hold out for hurried exit, I've decided. A -2 pickup could make that pretty potent. So we're going to leave that alone and just make March of Shields free here. +10. I'm going to put that into a Feverish Response, do 100 damage. I like that. I'll keep the other one for a 10 in piercing. Holdover on, you heard it here first, event. All right, we'll definitely put this on the vent. Plus 30 and a 10 in piercing would be pretty awesome here. We haven't seen any of that yet, but we'll plan around it. I will take this -1 into something. I suppose I may as well just make a torch free for the moment. It's kind of, I also could just save my cash here, right? There's very little I can... This -1 isn't providing that much value. Yeah, it's not providing that much value. I think we want to save the feverish response here, slot for a 10 in piercing. Making a free torch seems kind of low impact, especially since all my other stuff just got made free. I'm actually just going to chill here, I think, right? Just hang out, save my money. All right, the removals are probably still train stewards, if I'm being honest with you. I would like to improve my initial draws, so I do actually think it is Train Stewards still. They're not bad cards, but we don't have the space to just play a billion of them. It could be Virions because they actually cost Ember, though. That's actually a fair point. I'm going to 1-to-1 a Train Steward and a Virion, I think, simply because of Ember costs. Although maybe I don't care, everything's so cheap. Yeah, let's just cut the Train Stewards, it's fine. Virion at least provides some value, and we move on. This feels strong-ish. Multi-strike shouldn't frighten me. Nothing attacks my Light's Gift action. Tons of units get played. So we just go, yeah, this is straightforward. We go Carrier downstairs. We then get to play Prince up top, Rail Beater up top, and we straight up kill that guy. I'm going to play Apex Imp here and then toss out a Virion to tank, and we're chilling. He straight up kills the whole floor, which is awesome, right? Interesting world as well. I'm going to play the Life Elixir on Asymptomatic Carrier, but we are going to Molting Imp a random floor just to get that out. I'm not even going to ping it, right? We're just going to hang out here and chill. Cool. I like this. Molting Imp mid-floor does good work. A Virion downstairs does good work. I can actually blow up this guy in front. Whole floor dies. And then we get a Train Steward out. Forever Flame doing some incredible heavy lifting here for sure. We do finally get Fledgling Imp. Unfortunately, nothing that can get him killed. I mean, we're fine because I can just do Train Steward and we clear bottom. Fledgling Imp upstairs, I'm going to still play. And then I suppose I will toss Virion downstairs. There's no reason not to, right? Here you go, champ. A billion D Contagion for the world. Now, shoot thy imp. There's no reason to Hyperlasic Spike here. I'm not going to hold on to the vent. It's fine. Cool, we chill. Fledgling Imp clears bottom. This is actually huge. I torch my own guy. I wish to Virion bottom floor and then Feverish Response it. This prevents me from taking any Slay triggers here. Like, okay, he gets one Slay trigger, but we clear everything out, which is great. Self-mutilation here. We'll put armor up. I'm going to go ahead and play the imp. I'm going to go ahead and ascend with hurried exit, and I'm pretty sure we win here. Yeah, we do. The extra turn does a lot of work. We don't generate enough rage fast enough, but we'll make it work. When you summon the second unit during a turn, draw one card and gain +1. This is good. And it's kind of difficult to play, but it's good. Now, actually, hold up. What if I Impish Scholar into Fledgling Imp? Does that actually work the way we want it to? Because it means I'm now pulling back stuff like Life Elixir or Virion more likely. The only or like Hyper Lasik Spike. The reason you might consider it is because it procs Research Notebook, but I think I need to self-infuse the Imp, right? I think that actually is more important, so we're going to chill here. Actually, the Impish Scholar having one is not bad, though. Just taking this guy and pulling back stuff. Yeah, okay, he's actually good. Apply Replicate to a friendly unit, then destroy it and draw a card. This is really good for killing imps, right? Yes. Yes, this is really good for killing imps. Q time. Apply Rooted 2. I'm going to go Destructive Testing here. I think that's the right card. I can use it to blow up an imp. Now, I am going to go to the Steel Shop. I would like another Multi-Strike. I could take an Endless, and then I wouldn't have to worry so much about actually using the Replicates on the carrier. So, fine. We'll go left. Removals are also nice. Large Stone. It's not it. Spin it. Whew, I was going to say I might not be able to afford the Endless, but we get him, which is good. Endless is superior. Removals here, unclear what I'm going to do with that yet, but fine. The infusion here is Apex Imp into Rail Beater. This is when we do this one. Armor 40, start him with some damage. Great. Good. Plus 30 on the Vent, absolutely. 10 in Piercing on the Feverish Response, absolutely. Huge pickups here. Look at the cave real fast. Ah, for the greater good. Now, unfortunately, I don't have anything in the Rail Beater situation, but I think the actual upgrade we take here is, wait for it, Sapstone on the Imp. We dedicate our entire run to clearing out the Imp, self-killing the Imp. This becomes nuts, right? So, yeah, absolutely. I know what you're thinking. Why not Sunderstone? Look, brother, it's fine. The Imp Sapstone is superior. Incredible work. Thanks, brother. This actually is great because we have that option, which I really appreciate. So, now, we will cut out these Train Stewards still, because I would like to draw the other cards faster. Yes, this is good. I'm going to leave Mr. Fledgling Imp alone. We have spent all of our money, but we have gotten much stronger here, and I feel quite good about it. So, take this Armor Emblem. It might end up causing us problems. I need to go to the right to self-infuse Fledgling Imp here. It's actually a really good draw. We just go Carrier, Prince upstairs, Rail Beater upstairs. And then, I mean, I could do so much work, right? I just go Virion middle. 40 Contagion is huge. Replicate to a friendly unit, then destroy it and draw a card. Really no reason to do this, right? You know, actually, I could save the Ember Drain. Does this work? I destroy him and then draw him, and then we can play him again, and we get rid of the... Yeah, we get rid of the Ember Drain. All right, fair enough. Cool. That feels like that was decent. Get some armor upstairs. We do just want to play a bunch of stuff here. 2 available. This pulls back a Virion. I'm just going to play the Molting Imp on this one and chill. We'll put down... Play the Virion out, and not doing a lot in the way of damage here. I'm going to chill on the Scholar. I'm actually going to self-ping upstairs for some rage generation. I think it could matter. Alright, great. We get Fledgling Imp upstairs, which is fantastic. I get to Feverish Response, which I think gives Prince the kill, which is great. Life Elixir. None of this stuff really needs to have it, so I'm just going to put Life Elixir on my own units upstairs. We can then also just straight up vent bottom floor and feel pretty decent about it. Cool. Looking pretty good here. Fledgling Imp, we get the Contagion. I shoot my own friend, it's fine. Hyper Lasik Spike is pretty decent, though. Virion bottom. which does draw my imp back, which is not bad, but not necessary, I suppose. And then I hyper lasik spike. Oh, that only works on floor. Okay, I'm so used to the alternatives. All right, it doesn't matter. We do kill the guy. It's fine. We did get him. Get him, bud. All right, we torch here. I can Virion mid-floor, which draws me my imp back, which I can then ping out. And then we vent and we get the kill upstairs still. Sure. Okay. I feel in control of this run now. Yeah? Virion. I'm going to go... I could actually have double imp drawn here in an interesting twist, which is something I should possibly consider more often, but I suppose it doesn't really matter that much. I don't need this vent, I don't think. I'm going to just let it drop. Fine. And this guy has endless. I'm just going to let him die and stay dead, I think, right? We play him middle to sap him down. I then play him upstairs. We'll torch him out. And chill. And we should be able to sap this guy to pretty much nothing, right? We'll draw and play the imp again. And we're cruising. Great. Excellent work. I feel pretty strong here, actually. I feel good about this, so that's nice. It's a good situation to be in. I think Imp in a Box is going to be nice. Unofficial Tome, if I can actually play it, is also pretty nice. There's the synergy of that plus the Rail Beater, which I appreciate. I think if I end up on a -2, I'm already kind of spoken for a bit. It's hard to say which of these is stronger. I think Unofficial Tome has the higher ceiling, but we're not going to see... only seeing one more temple, so the -2 is not really an option. I do have a dupe on Ring 8 that's magic side. I can get it down to 3 cost pretty comfortably. Do I have any other steel shops coming up in alignment? Not really, right? I'm going right, then no steel, then right. So really, I'm not even filling out the spots on the Rail Beater, which is a bit of a bummer. Or the +25 on the Carrier, because I'm going to be self-infusing the Imp here. Crazy. I guess I could avoid the dupe on Ring 8, which is an option. I think the Unofficial Tome is good. Imp in a Box does trigger Research Notebook guaranteed, though, which I really appreciate on a turn where I might not otherwise trigger it, so that's something to keep in mind. So does Destructive Testing, actually, which is kind of nice. I can play that on the Imp and double play the Imp and then draw a card anyway, which is helpful. I'm going to grab... I think if I didn't have Brawler Pivot on Prince, I might be more worried about this and go with the One-Horns. I think I'm going to take the Imp in a Box here and be okay with that. Sympathetic Emesis applies Sap 5 with a Consume trigger. I actually really like the Burst Sap here, more than I like the extra Destructive Testing. So I'm going to take the Sympathetic Emesis here. It's just such a useful burst of sap when I'm already leaning that way. We're going to the right. Remember, this part is straightforward. We are self-infusing the Imp here. It is mission critical to do more damage. Imp into Imp. Good. -2 here is great. I'm going to put that into Hurried Exit, which is fun. Great. 2 more sap. Intrinsic here is... Intrinsic Sympathetic Emesis, I think, disables Divinity. Basically. Yeah, it basically just disables Divinity here. Which is good. Now, I could end my turn there, potentially, and find a Permafrost, and then just apply Sap 1 every turn, which is sort of interesting. You can also double stack that to similar effect, but I don't know how important that ends up mattering, or being, rather. Cutting Torches is a dangerous game, but my other cards are also pretty good. So I think we are going to do 1-to-1 Torch Virion here. Their cards are fine, right? I actually don't need these life elixirs anymore. They're not bad, I suppose. I'm going to 1-to-1 out a Virion and a Torch here. I think we're at the point where I can clean up the run a bit by doing that and moving on. Sure. Sure. Seems fine. Okay. Now, we should have no problems crushing here, right? We can go Asymptomatic Carrier downstairs. Great. We go Prince. Great. Go Apex Imp. Great. Bottom floor is clearing out. I then can go... Wow, check this out. I can then go Sympathetic Emesis. Impish Scholar. Sympathetic Emesis for 10 sap right away. And we actually push out 40 Contagion downstairs. No reason to play this spike right here. We clear out the guy upstairs, which is good. Great. May as well play out that life elixir, right? Fine. Can put down Virion's mid-floor and feel decent about it. Life elixir, I guess I'm just going to put it upstairs. I vent middle because I should, I suppose. Actually, I should blast this guy and then vent middle. Yeah, that's fine. Sure. Tons of damage downstairs. All good. Imp in a box. Fledgling Imp. Shoot it. Fledgling Imp. Shoot it. And then we put down, what, Molting Imp as well, and that's fine. Then we vent bottom floor. We've actually somehow managed to kill every single one of the statues, which honestly never happens. I should be careful. 150. I want to play the hurried exit, and you can't stop me. And then we simply want to go destructive testing downstairs on this fella, which is good because it means he comes back to life with armor. Ooh, we get the sap fella upstairs. We should click it, right? We should. Even though, yeah, even though it's not ideal to take that hit, it's fine. It's just Ember Drain. We're easily winning this, right? I blast here. Okay, I'm going to ascend her back to the floor for free damage and free sap. I'm then going to shoot middle here, or middle? I think it is middle, yes. And then I'm going to vent upstairs, which gets us the Slay again and pushes even more damage. Good, great, fine. Now, good. This is perfect because Asymptomatic Carrier does die, which was the goal. So, ideal, actually. I want him to pass away for Relentless. We go Fledgling Imp, Destructive Testing, Fledgling Imp, stab him. Don't play the carrier, vent upstairs. And this person is sitting with 20 sap, fell, never stood a chance, basically. And that is honestly great. I just shoot her for 150 here, and I drop the vent because there's no reason to keep it. We should easily win this combat, right? Yeah, check it. I just hurried exit her up. Cool. Play the imp. We shoot the imp. We chill. Enemy never swings. They have 48 reduction of damage, and we do plenty of damage now thanks to the self-infuse. Alright, we're in a good position here. We are in an excellent position, in fact. Last stand is almost certainly the play, right? We have Evolving Resistance as an option. Apply Armor 5 to a friendly units. Add a stronger version of this card to the deck. Reserve, purge this card. So if I ever don't play it, it goes away. This card rips if I can get any kind of -1s in it, right? Yeah, I actually think we definitely take this, right? As long as you play it every turn is how I read this. Let's do this. We're going to go Evolving Resistance. I think we're just going to take card draw here. There's no reason to do anything too fantastical otherwise, right? Don't need Ember, don't need space, take card draw. And then we go left here I want this magic shop more than I want anything here. Right? We'll go magic. I do... A holdover is interesting on the hurried exit. Actually, hurried exit... Holdover destructive testing is probably it. I'm going to go ahead and make evolving resistance cost 1, I think. So that I never accidentally reserve purge it. Holdover destructive testing is basically important work here. Yeah, it's basically important work, and then it guarantees I trigger Research Notebook every turn. It's worth it. Cool. The plus 10 here, don't really care about it. Reroll. Eternal Stone. I'm going to make Evolving Resistance cost 1. Sympathetic Emesis, I'm just going to burn out on turn 1, and we're chilling with that. I think I'm going to save my money here. Darkforge says Brawler 2. I want this other multi-strike hit. I'll grab the money for later. The cave today says... Ah, interesting. Aggressive. I wouldn't say no to Heaven's Gold in case something leaks. Yeah, just in case something walks on me, I'm fine with this. We move on. Shouldn't have too much issue crushing this combat. Spikes, we're fine. We're fine. It's not a big deal at all. Alright, Asymptomatic Carrier, Prince... We do get the Molting Imp downstairs, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and Imp in a box. Pyre Chomper. We'll play the Welder Helper first. Great. Pyre Chomper. Go for it. Virion. Go for it. Sympathetic Emesis burn here. Vent. All good. Sure. Rail Beater in. I'm going to blast middle. Yes. Virion is good because it gives me the draw here. I really don't think I need to do anything fancy, so let's just vent downstairs, I think. It does more damage overall. Alright. March of Shields upstairs. I think the play here is definitely going to be destructive testing first. But I'm going to, yeah, we're going to destructive testing first, draw into it. Then we're going to Virion down here. We get the Molting Imp looking nice. Seems decent. I can self-ping for... It might actually be enough, 3857. I think it is, actually. Yeah, look at that. Manages to slay, which gets a trigger to offset some of that damage taken. Alright, we get Fledgling Imp upstairs. It's good. Destructive testing this man. It's good. Just keep playing it. Great. Now, I want to... The Imp passes away. We want to make sure. Evolving Resistance. I must play it. Yes. Okay, good. As long as we play it, we're okay. Impish Scholar, I don't know what I'm getting back. I mean, rolling into Imp in a box here is pretty awesome, I'll tell you that much. That's for sure. I can then... What? Weird. I don't want to put some armor down, I suppose. It's kind of a weird situation. And then we vent bottom floor and it's fun. Sure, seems good to me, right? Cool. Top floor, he's kind of doing... He's spikes attacking, but getting the slays in. I will Evolving Resistance first. It's a priority. We now get... Yeah, we managed to get the final power play in, which is what we're really looking for. Play the carrier first. You know better than that. Play carrier first. It's correct to do it. Top floor, he's trading pretty evenly. We just sort of blow up bottom floor here, and then we, what, vent? I think. It's that simple. True enough. Okay, now unfortunately I have made terrible timing on recording this, so I am going to have to pause the episode here and return to you in a few moments. Ripperino, but it won't even notice, you won't even notice the difference. Okay, and we make it back. Alright, gosh, I have All right, so there's another meeting that needs to be attended in 15 minutes, so we're hustling, all right? Fortunately, I don't think there's really anything too crazy that we need to worry about here. I'm just going to continually blast my imp and all that business, so that's pretty good. Just slam that guy, we get some health out of it, seems good. He attacks and kills himself, excellent work. Tell you what, this card's pretty good. Evolving Resistance, I like that. I am going to prioritize, however, actually killing, let's see, getting this imp. Our survivability is a little bit weak right now, which is fair. Now, I actually think I want to hurried exit the boss here. We're doing plenty of damage. Yeah, we're fine. Just kill my guys. It's all good. And then I'll blast him for 150, and we end turn here. We should have no problems winning from this point. We are crazy powerful. Yeah, this seems good. Cool. We'll just go ahead and win like this. Great. The floors are doing tons of damage now, and Prince is actually contributing a sizable amount. He's able to sustain his own health with slays, which is fantastic, and he hits 3 times. That's good. Important work is really good here, right? There's no reason I shouldn't take this. I'm basically using destructive testing as jank version of important work anyway, so let's take that. Survival of the Prolific. Give a friendly unit +1 attack, 2 health, and lifesteal 1 for each friendly unit spawned during this battle. This is worth a lot to us, right? I think I'm going to actually grab this. I think this feels really strong here. I'm definitely going to get at least like +20 out of this if I play it on the second draw through or something. Now, there's a lot of value in going left here. I can get +25s and a bunch of random upgrades. Minus removals are always good. The dupe is nice too. Magic Shop, Permafrost on the Survival of the Prolific would be okay, but otherwise, I don't actually care. I think I go left here. The dupe is not needed for us to win because I can't do a self-infuse on asymptomatic carrier. So I think, yeah, we go left. Look at the Horde real fast. Hammered chest plates, I don't want to go with. I don't want to give my imps more health than can be torched out. Scorching Restraints is probably it, right? Yes, I think Scorching Restraints will be pretty decent. We'll get some value out of it on Prince and Railbeater both, so it's not amazing, right? Tempered Talisman maybe provides a little more value, but I also want to keep the self-pings on Wrathful Prince pretty okay and tame, so we'll take the Scorching Restraints. Trinket Shop says, earn 25% more money. No, that's okay. Firewall, Wing Clippings. No, these aren't important. I'm going to skip it. Ashes of the Fallen is disgusting. We're going to click that. When you summon your first unit each turn, add a Virion spell with Purge to your hand. When a unit with Contagion dies, it deals damage equal to 1/2 its Contagion stacks of the front enemy unit. We're actually in a very unique situation where I think both of those are really powerful. Let's resolve the matter of... Yeah, let's resolve the matter of our floor first. So I'm going to toss +25 at asymptomatic carrier. He benefits from this. We're going to spin... Large Stone, no. I'm just going to give Railbeater 25 health here, and that will be enough, I think. That alone is a lot of value. Then I come in here. I can't afford both the Aerosolizer and the Mitotic Division, and I do actually genuinely believe that giving my units stats is more valuable. So, the free Virion is fine. I do have to play it. It costs Ember. Aerosolizer, however, is going to weaponize asymptomatic carriers' power in a big way. I think it's always Aerosolizer here. Now, I am hurting my Heaven's Gold value by spending anything else. How do we feel about that? I kind of don't care, I think, is where I'm at with this. I'm going to cut... Given the situation with important work and destructive testing, I think I'm okay just cutting 2 torches here. Straight up, like we're fine with this. Yeah, I think so. we're able to get a lot of value out of this stuff. We're okay. We'll leave in a couple. I do have some money. I think I'm going to leave some cash alone. I probably should invest in a -1 removal here, right? I should have something, I think. Maybe I cut, what, another torch, possibly? Maybe. Maybe. It's hard to say. Cutting a torch isn't terrible. I kind of am okay with the state of everything, though. Right? I could cut a life elixir, which, I mean, again, that's not very helpful, but it's not terrible. I'm going to actually drop one of these, improve my initial card draws. I'll walk in with 56 damage. I think that's pretty decent. It's a good threshold. 55s are nice, is a nice threshold for me to consider here. I could explain it, but there's a lot of things that kind of sit somewhere along that vicinity and health pool-wise, so if you leak something, obviously it matters how much health they really have left, but regardless. So, cool. With 56 damage, 165 out of 100, we're going to go crush Seraph. Ashes of the Fallen is about to become nonsense, so we're going to do 1 billion damage a second. And hopefully I actually finish in the time limit. So, you just drop Carrier first. We'll play Prince. Great. He gets a Slay. Fantastic. Sure, we'll play out some other things. Nothing else really changes that much here. You go Sympathetic Emesis here. Now, if I had been smarter, I think I would have guaranteed that what I wanted, but I'm fine anyway. In fact, I can just Life Elixir the Impish Scholar now and really do some silly stuff, which is strange but true. Hey, we get a kill. I'm not going to go Survival of the Prolific yet. This happens later in the run for sure. For sure. Alright. First, let's crack Imp in a Box here. I do not mind the Pyre Chomper action. We'll toss a Welder Helper downstairs. Take some armor. Most of this stuff is all things I'm very happy to work on. Man, I could really drop some Hyper Lasik Spike value here, but I think we're really just chilling, if I'm being honest with you. Here, I can actually send this and draw him back, and then we can keep going in sort of a glorious fashion, right? Yeah, and then this is actually ridiculous, right? How are you dying? Oh, the whole floor is dying. Right. Okay, that kind of tracks. Sure. I'm gonna play a Welder Helper upstairs and then I guess shoot that Welder Helper. I have the ability to Hyper Lasik Spike for 1,000,000 here. So I'm not going to because this floor is already extremely dead, but, you know, fair enough. Fair enough, right? We'll get Carrier back. I haven't actually drawn my Imp yet, which is interesting. We're barely doing enough damage upstairs right now. I could potentially resummon him. Resummon Prince, I mean. But I think the right way of doing this is Virion middle. And then I'm going to sack an Imp to draw. Evolving Resistance gets us the kill upstairs, which is good. I do want to... I'll Virion spam here a bit. I think this is a case where we can benefit from a lot there. And then I can Destructive Testing back the Scholar. And then we simply end turn with Sympathetic Emesis downstairs, and it saps them down a little bit. So, a little bit interesting. Crazy stuff, I suppose. We finally do see our Imp. I'm going to play that. I'm going to redraw Mr. Imp and play it again. I'm going to then torch the Imp. Fantastic work. Survival of the Prolific. We're doing great here. I don't have to lean into it yet. Seems okay to me. I'm going to burn the Sympathetic Emesis here. 20 sap, really cooking on that one. I think we're doing great. I'm going to blast middle, and then vent downstairs. May as well. And we should have no problems winning this run from this position. Okay, yes, give me the Evolving Resistance. We're playing cards. Draw him again. Yeah, I think this is fine. Now, the question is, do I play him upstairs again? Maybe not. Maybe I play him downstairs, possibly. I don't actually really mind having him on the floor, I suppose. We'll put him middle so he doesn't burn the melee weakness, but that's okay. I'm just going to burn Hyperlasic Spike here. I don't think we have to worry about this too terribly much. Although we might get the opportunity to do it next turn too, which is maybe worth considering. I'll wait. If I can cook this on a particularly good turn, right? Like, I was thinking he might go downstairs and I might redraw it. I can hurry exit the boss back up at least, which is good. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the imp. Play him out again. Great. We'll bring him back and do it again. And then I will definitely feverish response. Actually, 249, we're already over this threshold, so let's just pop him. And then blast middle. Fury on this floor. I'll vent downstairs. Alright, I think we should be guaranteed to have him go downstairs now. Alright, and we actually drew Hyperlasic Spike here, which is pretty good. So I'm a big fan of that. I'm going to play the imp here, and that will be enough. Good. It's actually great that I hit this torch. I was a little concerned about it. I'll do that. I am going to Hyperlasic Spike downstairs. I think that's cooking. Incredible. I'm then going to vent the floor out, and we're going to ascend the boss away, and we are chilling. I should be at a point now where it's a decent Hyperlasic Spike, right? I might as well keep playing the guy. I see no reason not to, right? So we just keep doing the thing that lets me play my cards a billion times in a row with my incredible imp synergies, and really what's there to even worry about, right? Now we do kind of waste a few of our turns, but fortunately we do lose this guy and you don't waste too many sap triggers. So I think we're okay there. Important work is fine. Play it again. Destructive testing. Play it again. Cool. Now is the turn of our survival of the prolific. 33 lifesteal for funsies. Seems decent. Vent middle. End turn and chilling, right? I feel like we guarantee win this so hard it doesn't actually matter. Just simply press end turn. Yeah. I could actually reasonably ascend the boss and think I win anyway, but I'm not going to do that, so that's okay. And then I kill my own prince, and I still win the combat. All good. Okay. Alright, blank pages seems insane. What can I do with blank pages? Is there a world I win this here? Blank pages is fun. Click blank pages, yes. I'm not thinking too terribly much because I am trying desperately to win fast enough. Unfortunately, I am thinking I'm going to have to take another break, which is a big bummer. So I'm just going to sit on this page here, and gosh, we'll be right back. Alright, sorry again for having to do this. It's definitely my mistake. Oh man, what a completely unhinged split from the show. So here we are. It is 14 hours later for me. Let me put that in perspective. I had an entire day at work and then the after work everything, and I'm finally back. I have left Monster Train running for an absolutely unhinged amount of time here. I made a terrible decision deciding when to record this episode because I decided to record it and it wasn't even that long or that bad or anything. I just underestimated how early my meetings were and ultimately got pulled from one thing to another, to another, to another, and then the day ended and it was like, well, you know, I could start recording at 5 p.m., but good grief. Anyway, we made it. We're back. Let's finish this episode. I can't believe the recording has only been going on for an hour and 14 minutes. I'm going to have to double check to make sure that this actually makes any sort of sense. It's kind of funny, but Anyway, let's fight the Divinity. You guys know what's happening in this episode. I don't. Gosh, I can't believe I left Monster Train up this whole time. That's absolutely ridiculous. All right. So, I'm over here thinking maybe I should recap what our strategy is for you all, but in truth, that makes absolutely no sense. I should not do that. So, worth noting, we did not draw into our asymptomatic carrier quickly enough. So, I think the plan then is I can actually sap him to 0 here in sort of an odd circumstance. I think we're going to go... So then in that case, I'm not going to worry too much about Ember Drain, right? Yeah, we go March of Shields here. I'm going to go ahead, hurried exit into Sympathetic Emesis. Immediately... Actually, I can pull back 2. So I go ahead, I hit Virion. Scholar brings back both. And then we drop this downstairs. And then I can end my turn up top to give him more sap, which is pretty cool, I think. So, great, fine. End my turn up here, he gets a sap, great. We get a free turn, feeling decent. Alright. Primordium is kind of a ridiculous role here. I'm pretty excited about that. We'll, of course, have an evolving resistance upstairs. I think the angle here is carrier with Primordium feeding into it, which is pretty cool. I may as well Life Elixir Primordium, actually, which is sort of unhinged, but very cool. We'll go Imp in a Box. Sure, Pyre Chomper, sure. We'll apply a lot of stuff here. Play something up top, and then we'll kill it. See what we draft into. I will play a Virion downstairs. I'm trying to find a way to keep Primordium eating into Carrier, but unfortunately that's not happening. Wow, I could buff Primordium here and do something truly unhinged, actually, but... You know, I think I will, actually. That's a pretty good play. We're okay with that. Alright. Seems good. Soul Guard, huh? Alright, definitely first order of business is playing Carrier down bottom. Seems decent. We're going to go Imp upstairs, followed by Destructive Testing, followed by another Imp. Great. We're going to shoot that Imp now. Good turn. I guess I'll play Soul Guard. Here's a Molting Imp, sure. Then I can do Virion tanking. And I can Vent here. And we actually do feed into Asymptomatic Carrier here, which is pretty good then. So I'm feeling decent about that. The fact that I actually get to feed Primordium to something here is pretty unhinged. It's very interesting. What is this? Burnout Rector. Yeah, absolutely Burnout Rector. Let's go. We're going to go Imp upstairs as a good turn. I'm going to go ahead and hit that Important Work for another Imp. I'm going to hit that Destructive Testing for another Imp. The Imp does kill itself into spikes, which is fantastic. I just prepared exit, hurried exit up back there. It's good. Hyper Lasik Spike is probably the right pick here. I guess I'll just Torch to Incant Soul Guard. I don't really care, actually. Let's just Hyper Lasik Spike and go completely mad with power, right? And then we'll Vent middle, and that'll be okay, I think. Sure. We should have no problems winning this run from this position, right? What champion do I get today? Spine Chief. Well, that's not that important. Fine. Okay, let's play Evolving Resistance. We'll play Imp into, wait for it, Destructive Testing on another Imp. Great. We're going to shoot him. Fine. I'm going to go ahead and Vent downstairs, which I think keeps us alive and eating here, which is great. We should easily win this from this position, which is pretty cool. The Primordium play into this asymptomatic carrier is actually pretty unhinged. Quite powerful, in fact. We'll go Imp upstairs. I'll go Destructive Testing. Imp upstairs. We'll shoot him. Great work. I could just Sympathetic Emesis downstairs, honestly, and actually that saves asymptomatic carrier, which is pretty exciting. I'm going to open a vent here because it'll let me vent it later. Although, actually, we win on this turn. Never mind. I'm overthinking it. We already actually had the W. Incredible. Can you believe I actually held off on recording this for 14 hours to get through that combat in less than, what, 3 minutes or something? It's okay, because we do still have some measure of discussion that I want to have here. I didn't actually have the 15 minutes that I expected this would take. And then considering the finale here with the discussion part, I think I'll actually use a little bit of it. This was pretty strong though, right? I'm feeling good. We'll go to the run summary. I think my Corhizal network was such a huge element of this run because it made Carrier perform kind of like Titan Sentry, right? As long as I was spamming units, which I was because of imps and, you know, imps and replaying imps, I was able to essentially treat this as, you know, 20 AoE damage every turn. It's definitely weaker than Titan Sentry, right? But I also kind of like that it behaves differently. I'm glad it's not a revenge trigger, right? I'm glad that you have to do something here. So I'm quite pleased with this. Now, that said, I still kind of think it's a little weird that he's 3 space. It's not bad, but it makes him kind of an annoying tank, especially for a run like this. I ended up just using Prince because, well, he ended up getting his own multi-strike and was able to generate survivability, so whatever. But, you know, I don't think the 3 space really pays off here, right? Maybe if he had more health, or, I mean, 40 is a good number, but it's also... It's 3 space. It's a huge cost, right? Think about the other 3 space units that are really worth talking about. Obviously, you can find some terrible ones like Alpha Fiend or something, right? But, you know, even a Demon Fiend, that's a 50-50, right? That's pretty good. That's kind of what you'd expect here, right? I think. So, anyway, I'm pretty sure this line doesn't actually work the way you want it to if you don't have my Corhizal network, right? Because I'd have to then be playing my imps on his floor. Obviously, it still works with Virions, but that's not nearly as exciting because these are hard to cycle. So yeah, something to keep in mind. Big fan, by the way, of Random Evolving Resistance. I think this card is good now. I think it also makes a little more sense. You don't want to reserve it. As long as you can play it, this is pretty strong. Armor 5, Rage 3, Lifesteal 1, that's a solid card. This card does some work. You know, and the fact that you essentially have to immediately upgrade it or guarantee play it or else it just vanishes from your deck is kind of an interesting situation to be in. So I'm a fan of that. Sympathetic Emesis played nicely with my Sapstone here. Fan of that because it meant that I could burst Sap guaranteed on turn 1. Very relevant. Kept my floor from taking essentially any damage of note. What else do we have? Destructive Testing. You know, this essentially is important work. Just maybe a little more peculiar. I will say, I gotta give a shout out to Life Elixir. It was an okay starting card, specifically because it let me replay the carrier before I had Endless on him, right? Because my first Endless went into the Imp, of course, so it ended up being alright. I don't think this card is great, but I also think it's maybe fine. I don't know, it's tough, right? I think there are very specific cards that this works well with, and a vast majority of them it just does not. But that's okay, I think. You know, it's interesting. I almost kind of wish this were... I don't know. Thinking about it, like, if I was gonna... It feels a little weaker than I would want. I almost feel like it might be better to be... I don't know, I want to say permafrosted, but you don't really need to save it as long as you can draw it quick enough and play it on your guy, but... I don't know. It's an interesting one. It feels like it needs something, though, right? You know, at least I think it does. I think it needs something. This just feels very low impact. Even replicate to your entire floor would feel a little better, right? But I don't know. Something about it feels a little low. It does its job, though, so I'm not mad about it. Fever's Response seems pretty good still. Hurried Exit. I mean, this card is great. I'm actually glad this got nerfed to 2 Ember because this card is actually really good, right? You know, it doesn't take much to turn this into a Divinity solution, and it's a common card, which obviously doesn't actually make it common. It's actually less common than an uncommon, oddly enough, thanks Monster Train, but the fact that you can see it so early and there's only really so many choices, it actually makes it a little bit more consistent to run into a solution of Divinity here. This can also solve Seraph as well, if you're not doing something like Chaste, right? I think it's a little slow for Chaste. You'd need some support from something like Sympathetic Emesis, but I think that it's a good card. If you just have a -1/-1 in this and make like 2 of these and then draw fast enough, you can actually put down the Divinity with that. That's actually possible. So, interesting card. I think this is a pretty well balanced, and it's a good solution, right? So, the only thing you have to really compare this to is it's basically compared to Tiresome Climb, right? Tiresome Climb is much, much better. So, really what you're paying is it's a common versus Sap 2 and Daze 2, right? So is that actually meaningful? I don't know. I think you're a little more likely to see Hurried Exit compared to Tiresome Climb just by card density, right? But you get more draft chances at Tiresome Climb. It's a little interesting. I don't know. It's tough. I don't think you can really change this card, though. There are things on it are just way too volatile, right? You can't make it Sap 3, it simply double stacks too well. You can't make it 1 cost, simply too efficient. And, I mean, I guess you could add something else to it, but I don't think that really plays nicely with the card's theme. I think this is essentially as sweet a spot as it could sit in. So I'm pretty happy with the state of this card. Survival of the Prolific. It's good. It's good. I like this. This paid out pretty well. I ended up putting it into Primordium in the end, which was kind of funny, but that's solid. Anything else? I'm actually kind of happy with the Hyperlasic Spike. You know, this is my initial mistake of thinking that this was the whole train when obviously it's not. I guess for some reason, I thought my Corhizzle network would interact with this, right? When it says trigger culture on all units 2x times, I was like, oh yeah, they trigger on any floor. And I guess I assumed that this would interact, but it doesn't. Maybe that would be kind of a cool thing to do, but I guess if you really think about the language choice, it makes sense, but still, I mean, that's the only real mistake I made here. I could see some good cases where this is really strong, some strong cultural lines, especially with the champion, right? Champion that cultures for like +10 damage to the floor. This is very strong for that. So I can see some good cases for this. It doesn't seem that strong, definitely in like the mid-range, but it's better than Spike of the Hellhorned, right? So, and that's fine, right? I think that's a good place for a Spike to be. So otherwise, nothing too crazy to report here. It was nice having a line that actually involved Prince, which meant we got to play the Pathogens in a more supporty fashion, which I think is interesting. It's kind of what I was hoping for here. Look at this. 11 hours, 8 minutes, and 34 seconds. That's how long I sat there. I thought it was 14 hours. I guess it was only 11 if you think about it. That's crazy. That's absolutely wild to me. Wow. Anyway, here we are 11 hours later. I don't have much else to add. I think it's a good run. I think this kind of demoed what I was hoping for. Did something I haven't done before, which was actually use Contagion as a meaningful piece of a run, thanks to Asymptomatic Carrier with my Corhizzle network. So that was cool. That was pretty cool, yeah. I'll be honest, I kind of wish that this... How many problems with this clan would it solve if this was just baseline behavior? It's an interesting thought, right? I mean, the Spikes guy would have been fine as he was, right? Because then I could have just played stuff on top floor, and bottom floor he would be scaling, and that would actually have been pretty compelling. You know, it would have, a lot of the things that have changed probably wouldn't have been necessary if this was just baseline, but interesting. I mean, it definitely opens up a lot of strategies which are pretty awesome, so I'm very happy about that. Research Notebook also doing good work here. Obviously, something like Ashes of the Fallen is still huge. I think Forever Flame was the biggest win of this run, though, so. Anyway, not much else to add. Seems pretty good, so I guess I'll let you go there. I'm definitely interested in trying a few more combos like this. I think I'm going to do the next one with Flea instead of Virion, see if that changes anything as far as how I can interact with it. I'm liking more Pathogens as a support clan. It helps me kind of feel this out from a different perspective. So, cool. And that's, I guess, everything I've got. So I'll let you go there after 11 hours of waiting for me to finish this run. So, hey, thanks a lot for watching this. I really appreciate your time. As always, you can give the video a like if you want. You can subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. And stay tuned for what's next. Take care, folks.